Ma'am, this is T. Kushi from ITA, and my roll number is 37. And my topic for Tech Talk concept video is loops and advantages of loops in Python. So, what is Python? Python is an interpreted, object oriented, high level programming language with dynamic semantics. It's a high level built in data structures combined with dynamic typing and dynamic binding, make it very attractive for rapid application development as well as for use as a scripting or glue language to connect existing components together. Python's simple, easy to learn syntax emphasizes the readability and therefore reduces the cost of program maintenance. Python supports modules and packages, which encourages program modularity and code reuse. The Python interpreter and the extensive standard library are available in source or binary form without charge for all major platforms and can be freely distributed. So, what are the features of Python? First is simplicity, that is, it has easy syntax. Next is open source, that is free of cost. So, any common person can use this Python programming language because it is free of cost. You can just download it from the Google, from the website www.org.python.com. And the next is portability. Portability means easy to transfer applications from one computer to another computer, and you can run the same code or same program in another computer with the help of this feature called portability. And the next is embeddable and extensible. So we can combine any other code from other program in Python. So you can either combine a C code or C++ code or Java code into the Python to make the program simple. So we have even that feature in the Python. So that is known as embeddable and extensible. Interpreted high level language. So interpreted high level language means it converts high level language to a machine language. Generally, you give the input in human understandable language, that is in our language, but machine cannot understand human language. It can only understand binary language, which is in zeros and ones. So this interpreter helps in conversion of the human language, that is our language, into machine language, that is into zeros and ones. So that is known as interpreted high level language. Next is large standard libraries. So it has inbuilt libraries. Python has large number of inbuilt libraries. So you are not required to search for libraries outside. It has already inbuilt libraries. And next is object oriented. So Python is an object oriented program. That means real world entity can be written as a program. So due to these features, Python is very popular these days. Coming to Python applications, Python is used in web development, GUI applications, console-based applications, software development, video-based applications, business applications, image processing applications, and so on. And before entering into the loops topic, we have to know why is Python famous these days, because Python is easy to learn. It has less number of code to be written. That means easy syntax with less number of lines in a code, and it is easily understandable to the user. So that is the reason it is popular these days when compared to other languages like C, C++, because in C or C++ or in Java, the codes which have to be written are very complicated, and the number of codes and the number of lines in the code are also very less in Python when compared with C, because C has large number of lines of code. For even to perform a simple program also, you have to write the program in a very long way. So that is the reason Python has become more popular these days. So now let's get into our topic, that is loops. So what is loops in Python and why is it important? So loops are used to repeat a set of statements or a single statement a certain number of times. In Python, there are two loops, that is while loop and for loop. So coming to loops, loops are used to repeat a set of statements or a single statement, any statement to repeat n number of times. You use these loops, and there are two types of loops in Python, that is while loop and for loop. Looping statements are used to repeat the given task for the specified number of times. So how many times you specify, that many times the given statement or the given condition will be repeated and the output will be printed using these looping statements. So why are loops important in Python? Loops are important in Python or in any other programming language as they help you to execute a block of code repeatedly. You will often come to face situations where you need to use a piece of code over and over, but you don't want to write the same line of code multiple times. In such cases, you can use this while loop. So you want to print a particular statement or a particular thing or a particular line n number of times, but even then you're not interested to write the print statement again and again. So in such cases, you can use this loop statement to print the given statement n number of times. That means how many times we want, that many times we can print the given statement using this loop statement, and there is no need of giving the print statement the n number of times. So regarding the loops, we need to consider 3 points. First, you have to initialize the looping variable to some value, include the condition for stopping the repetition operation, increment or decrement the looping variable. So here you can see in the flowchart how will the program be executed. First, you will give the start and then initialization takes place. So you will initialize a variable and then it will check the condition. It will come to the condition and it will check the condition. So first you will come to the start. Then you will initialize a variable. After initializing the variable, it comes to the condition. And when it comes to the condition, here in condition, if it's true, one thing takes place. If it false, another thing takes place. So if it is true, code inside the loop will be executed. And next, the update counter. That means increment or decrement of the looping variable takes place. So until it becomes false, this condition next code inside the loop will be executed and the counter will be updated. This takes place, and once the code condition becomes false, it comes out of the loop and the looping will be stopped and the program will be ended there. Coming to while loop, this is used whenever a set of statements should be repeated based on a condition. The control comes out of the loop when the condition is false. In while loop, we must provide an increment or decrement values. The while loop in Python is used to iterate over a block of code as long as the expression is being true. So as long as the expression is being true, the program will be continuing, the program will be iterating over a block of code. Once it is false, it comes out of the loop and the program will be ended there. So here you can see the flow chart. So first the code will enter the while loop and it will test the expression, that is whether it is true or whether it is false. If it is true, it enters the body of the while loop and the condition in the while loop will be executed and if it is false, then it will exit the loop. Coming to syntax of while loop in Python, in the while loop, text expression is checked first. First, the text expression is checked. The body of the loop is entered only if the test expression evaluates to true. After one iteration, the test expression is checked again. This process continues until the test expression evaluates to false. So in while loop, first whatever the condition is given, that is checked first, and then the body enters the loop and evaluates the test expression. If it is true, then it executes the conditions in while loop. After one test is done, again it will go to the test expression. Again the expression is checked and this process will be continuing until the test expression evaluates to false. In Python, the body of the while loop is determined through indentation. The body starts with indentation and the first unindented line marks the end. So here you can see an example. So we are going to print numbers from 1 to 6 using while loop. So as you know, in while loop, we have to provide a initializing variable. So here initializing variable is I is equal to 1. And while the condition in the loop is, while I is less than 6, you can print I. And in while loop, we have to also provide the increment or decrement value. So here the increment value is I is equal to I plus 1. In the output, you are able to see that the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us see how is this program getting executed. So first, we have given the condition as I is equal to 1. So now this I is equal to 1 enters the while loop and it checks the condition. What is our condition? I is less than 6. So 1 is less than 6. So the condition is true. So it enters the body of the while loop. And what is written in the body of the while loop? Print I. The I will be printed. What is the value of I? 1. Then it goes to the increment value. What is then the increment value? I is equal to I plus 1. So what is the value of I? 1. So 1 plus 1, I value becomes 2. Now this 2 value again goes to the while loop. And the condition is checked again. Here now the value of I is 2. And 2 is again less than 6. So again it enters the while loop body and the 2 is printed. So like that, the program continues and until the condition becomes false. So the condition becomes false where I will be equal to 6. So there the program stops and it comes out of the loop. And the another example is here we are going to repeat one particular statement or one particular name n number of times. So first you're giving an input, n is equal to int of input, enter number of times you want to repeat that program. And then you're initializing a variable that is I is equal to 1. Then you're writing the condition in the while loop. That is, while I is less than or equal to n, we have to print IARE. And then you are giving the increment value I is equal to I plus 1. So let us see how is it getting executed. So my input value, I wanted it to repeat for 3 times. So I have given number 3 there. And let us see the condition. So first I value is 1. It enters into the while loop. Here I is less than or equal to n. Yes. So what is the value of n which we have provided? It is 3. So I value is 1. So 1 is less than 3. So it enters the while loop body, and in while loop body what is written? Print IARE is written. So IARE will be printed. Next incrementation takes place. I is equal to I plus 1. Here I value becomes I is equal to 1 plus 1, that is 2. Now again it goes to the while loop and checks the condition. So here I value is 2. 2 is less than n value is 3. So 2 is less than 3. So again it enters the while loop body and the IARE is printed. Now again I value is incremented and here I value becomes 3. Again it goes to the while loop condition and here I is less than or equal to n. So it is equal to 3 kabatti. Then again it enters the while loop body and IARE is printed. Then again it comes to the increment. Here I becomes 4. Now it goes to the condition again, to the while loop condition. So here the condition is not being true. Because I is greater than 3. The value of I is 4. So it is greater than 3. So the condition is false. It exits the loop and the output is printed. So IARE is printed 3 times. You can see in the output here. Next, coming to the for loop. The for loop in Python is used to iterate the statements or a part of the program several times. It is frequently used to traverse the data structures like list, tuple, or dictionary. And let us see the syntax for loop. Here, value is the variable that takes the value of the item inside the sequence on each iteration. Loop continues until we reach the last item in the sequence. The body of the for loop is separated from the rest of the code using indentation. So the main thing in loops is indentation should be followed. Indentation is nothing but 1 tab space or 4 spaces. If the indentation is not given properly, the program will not be executed correctly. So coming to for loop is used generally to traverse through a sequence of elements like a list. It is used in traversing through list, tuples, or dictionaries. And as same as while loop, here also, if the condition is true, it enters the loop body, or else it exits the loop body. So as you can see in the picture, for each item in sequence, last item reached. So for each item in sequence, the for loop will traverse. That means it goes from one item to another item. So each item is traversed, and until the last item, every item is checked. If all the conditions are true, that if it comes to true, then it enters the loop of the body. If it comes to false, it exits the loop. So you can see the flowchart given beside. So example, here we are going to print each fruit in a fruit list. So you're going to take a list named fruits and you're giving the fruits as apple, banana, cherry. For X in fruits, print X. So here you're using for loop to print each fruit individually. So generally for loop traverses, the main condition of the for loop is it traverses through each element in a list or a tuple or a dictionary. Here we have taken it as a list. So for X in fruits, so for X is a variable which we are initiating. So for X in fruits, print X. So first for X in fruits, it goes to the fruits list, and first it will take the apple. Then print X, apple will be printed. Again, next it goes to banana. Banana will be printed. Next it goes to cherry, and cherry will be printed. Once all the elements are done, or full traversing is done, then it comes out of the loop and the program will be ended. So here you can see the output apple, banana, and cherry are printed individually. So another program is program to find table of a given number using for loop. So here n is equal to int of input. You are entering the number for which you want to derive the table. So for I in range of 1, 6. So I'm giving the range as 1, 6. So the main thing in for loop is you can provide starting value, ending value, and you can also provide the step size. So if you're not providing the starting value and ending value and step size, by default it takes the starting value as 0 and ending value as the input given, and the step size by default it will take as 1, and you can even provide your own step size and starting value as well. So here I've provided the starting value as 1 and ending value as 6. I have not provided any step size, so by default the step size will be taken as 1. And another condition is when you're giving the starting and ending values, ending value will be executed only up to n-1. If the ending value is 1, n-1, up to n-1 only the program will be executed. So here ending value is 6. That means 6 minus 1 up to 5 the execution will take place. So let us see the program. So n is equal to int of input, you are entering a number. Then for I in range of 1 to 6, c is equal to n star I. Then you are printing n comma star of I is equal to c. So let us see the output. Here we have entered a number 10 and we are able to see the 10 table there. That is 10 star 1 is 10 up to 5. So first for I in range of 1 to 6, c is equal to n star I. So what is the value of n we have given? That is 10. 10 star I for I in range of 1 to 6. So first it will go to, in between 1 to 6, we'll get each and every value once. So first for I in range of 1 to 6, c is equal to 10 star 1. 10 star 1, 10 will be printed. Then again it goes to the loop and again it checks for the condition of n value is 2, n value is 10 and I value is 2. So c is equal to n star 2, like that up to n star 5, that is 10 star 5. Up to that the condition will be satisfied and up to there the table will be printed, and once the condition is done it exits the loop and the program comes to an end. So what is the difference between while loop and a for loop? There are no advantages or disadvantages of using for loop over while loop. Try to understand this and then after you will never be confused again. While loop works on a boolean like true or false. That is why you use conditions which are nothing but a boolean. Whereas for loop works on iterations. So as soon as the numbers of iterations allowed are completed, its work is finished. This is the main difference between while loop and for loop. While loop is used as a boolean, that is for true or false condition like statements you use while loop, but for traversing or for iterations you use for loop. So coming to advantages of loops in Python, there are the following advantages of loops in Python. It provides code reusability. Using loops, we don't need to write the same code again and again. Using loops, we can traverse over the elements of data structures like array or linked lists. Reabundance of code is less. Suppose if you take an example to print 1 to 100 numbers, we need to use 100 print statements. But if you use loop, then one print statement is enough for this example. It is used to reduce the code, effectively solves all the difficult codes using loops very easily, especially pattern programs. Generally, we use loops in the case of repetitive occurrence of some processes. So coming to the conclusion, a while loop in Python is a so-called condition loop. This means repeating a code sequence over and over again until a condition is met. Instead of having to rewrite your code several times, we can instead repeat a code block several times. If the number of iterations is not fixed, it's recommended to use a while loop. The for loop in Python is a so-called counting loop that repeats a code sequence a predetermined number of times. Hence, the for loop is best suited when you know the number of iterations that the loop will need to do. Thank you.